Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 1, starting at verse 21 through chapter 2, verse 11. Now, one of the things that's going on is that the Lord is setting leadership in motion, beginning with the fact that he is giving a priest that he has ordained to Israel. And Samuel is singled out by God even before he's born. He has really a miraculous birth, and he's set aside for God before he's even born. And so as we start at verse 21, what we've seen is that God has delivered Hannah from her distress, he has overturned her shame, he has ended her barrenness, and she cries out to the Lord in her song out of that he has vindicated her and answered her prayer. And so much of chapter 1 through half of most of chapter 2 is really Hannah's story. But there would be no story about Samuel without Hannah. And I think that's something to think about is everybody's got a part to play in the salvation history that God is putting in motion. Now, Hannah has dedicated this child, this boy, to the Lord. But we also see that her husband, Elkanah, has also signed off on this. That he says, I'm going to go up and go to the festival and sacrifice, but you stay here. I know that you're getting the boy ready. And he signs off because he gives a sacrifice that consecrates Samuel to the Lord, as had been promised. Now, what's interesting is verse 23. Do what seems best to you, Elkanah, the husband said, and only may the Lord make good his word. Now, if there's one thing we know about God is that God makes his word good. And that's a really big idea. God makes his word good. He makes good on his word. And he's going to do that time and again throughout all of Scripture. Throughout the story but especially throughout the story of Samuel. That's part of what's being shown. Now, Hannah, as she gets her little toddler ready to drop off at the temple, she breaks into this prayer, this song of praise. And her joy, she speaks about the joy she has that has come because of what the Lord has done. And that the Lord is her horn or her power for her life. And she delights in how God has triumphed over her enemies. She delights in God's deliverance. And do we sing that praise in delighting in God's deliverance over our enemies? Now, she goes on to say that there's no other God that's like the Lord, who's holy and rock solid. He's the only game in town. And the Lord knows and weighs everybody, she says. And she talks about how the strong, they think they're going to make it on their own strength, by their own wits, right? And strength, but says not so much. Is that the Lord is the one who gives life. The Lord is the one who brings death and makes alive again. The Lord holds everybody's life in his hands. And so basically she's saying is, do you make the Lord the foundation of your life? Because he guides the feet of his faithful servants, as she says in verse 9. But the wicked, they're off in a silence of darkness, right? And the Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. There's a messianic reference there. And so, well, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.